What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be taking a first look at the Fossil Cup. The Fossil Cup includes only Pokemon that are Water, Rock, and Steel types. So today we're going to be looking at a team of TOGEDEMARU, Aqua Breed, Paldean Tauros, and Poliwrath. Now, this is an ABB team. We've got an Electric Steel on the lead, and we've got two Water Fighters in the back. And if you look down the list, TOGEDEMARU absolutely rocks this meta. There is only a couple things that beat it, and all of those things happen to be weak to fighting, other than Gastrodon, which is a good matchup for both Poliwrath and Tauros in the back. It's fine. So without further ado, let's just hop right into some battles. I did go on a crazy win streak with this team. It was pretty sweet. Tough lead in the first match. I'm going to safe switch into our Tauros. The opponent also safe switches into an Araquanid, which is a little bit of a strange play because TOGEDEMARU is good into Araquanid, but not into Poliwrath. Unless they're on like Bubble Poliwrath, I don't know. That's the only thing I can imagine. But my opponent ends up only going for a Bubble Beam. Both Bubble Beam and Bug Buzz and Water Pulse are all resisted here. So I'm just going to boost my attack with the Trailblaze right back up. And the next Trailblaze should be enough to KO. They will have to full send a Bug Buzz in order to KO, and if they do, that's fine, because now I can come in with my TOGEDEMARU here, take these resisted Bug Bites, and now I have a Wild Charge loaded for that Poliwrath. But instead, my opponent comes in with a Ferrothorn, and now Ferrothorn is completely walled here. All the charge moves that they learn, Power Whip, Flash Cannon, Thunder, all of it is resisted here. So I'm just going to keep ramping up my attack. I'll take one charge move. I know I can live one. It probably will just be the Power Whip, and it is. And now I'm going to overfarm here. And now that I've boosted my attack, I think 2 or 3 times, I'm full sending the Wild Charge. And look at that. That is resisted damage on a Ferrothorn. It picks up the knockout with the Wild Charge. In comes the Poliwrath. Here comes another Wild Charge. That grabs the final shield. And now we have a shield advantage coming into the closing matchup. You'll notice here that I'm actually running Dynamic Punch and Ice Punch instead of the recommended moveset of Icy Wind and Scald. And that is purely for pacing and for what is in this meta. More things are weak to fighting than water or ice, because water is a type in this meta. And then Ice Punch, for better pacing and giving me a bait move for Dynamic Punch. But Dynamic Punch is the main move for this team, and it does pick up the knockout, so we are able to take the win. Good lead in the next match. We've got TOGEDEMARU into Feraligatr. This is a good lead purely because we win CMP. And I'm baiting on the first one, expecting my opponent to just throw as soon as they get there, figure out who wins CMP in this matchup, and then go for the farm down here. But they end up safe switching into a Fortress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up to the back-to-back Wild Charges. Wild Charge 1, that connects and it one-shots the Fortress, which is insane. In comes the Feraligatr. I'm going to Wild Charge again, and now in comes Paldean Tauros. Paldean Tauros is a wall to the charge moves of Feraligatr. Hydro Cannon, Ice Beam, Crunch, all of it is resisted. So there's not much they can do in this matchup, and I can live 2 Hydros pretty comfortably. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to live 2 Hydros. Now I'm going to go for the Trailblaze. My opponent makes a catch onto their Credilli, but that's fine, because this is still neutral damage, and that one double kick is super effective damage. Now I can come in with my Poliwrath. I do get 1 turn lag, which is a little unfortunate, but that shouldn't matter in this matchup, because once we shield up that Grass Knot, we can get a full farm down. My opponent knows that, so they just resign the match, and we're able to take that win. Sandslash on the lead in the next match. This is a good lead because once again we win CMP, and my opponent has to full send a Drill Run, which is more expensive than the Wild Charge. So I will throw the Wild Charge on the CMP tie. My opponent actually lets it go and lives, which is a little unfortunate because now I have to commit the shield back. However, I do take Switch, and in comes Magcargo. Magcargo is instantly going to be met by the Paldean Tauros. Everything is resisted here, so I know I can live 1 charge move. Rock Tomb isn't going to do too much damage, so I'm going to overfarm as much as I can, pick up the knockout here with the Aqua Jet, and if my opponent shields, I can throw back to back, and they do. But they end up just going for the extra Incinerate worth of damage. and that actually might put me in farm down range. Can I get to this Aqua Jet? I can. So this Aqua Jet will be enough to pick up the knockout and grab both shields. So Paldean Tauros putting on an absolute clinic in this mid game, and it is a Ferrothorn in the back. So in comes the Poliwrath. All I had to do is shield up one move here, and because I'm on Dynamic Punch, I can overfarm here, look for the catch. They go for the catch unsuccessfully. In comes the Ferrothorn. We make it to the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch picks up the knockout, and Poliwrath is able to sweep that endgame. Into the next match, we've got a Golisopod on the lead, another good lead. We will take this. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to farm up to the Wild Charge, hoping that my opponent tries to call a bait, because that's the only way they can really win this matchup. And my opponent does, so they actually end up just losing their entire Pokemon. In comes a Swampert, so I'm going to safe switch into my Paldean Tauros. I know I can live one Shadow Sludge, so I will let one go. That does quite a bit of damage, but I am able to make it to the Trailblaze now, and Trailblaze is double super effective damage, so my opponent has to respect this, and they do. And then in comes an Escavalier. Escavalier going for the counter farm down, but they're unsuccessful. Aqua Breed Tauros able to make it to an Aqua Jet. That one shots with the Trailblaze boost. That is absolutely insane. And now we have Poliwrath aligned to the Swampert. I still have 2 shields remaining, so I may as well start using them here. I can shield up 2 Sludges or a Hydro Cannon because my opponent knows they've lost this game. But at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to commit to the full farm down because they cannot make it to 3 moves before I get the full farm down. That's exactly what's going to happen, and we are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we've got Togedemaru into Scizor. This is a little bit rough because they can outpace. Actually, no, they can't because they're on Bullet Punch. If they were on Fury Cutter, they would be able to outpace at least to a Night Slash, but I would be able to live one. Either way, I farm up to the Wild Charge. This time, I'm baiting with the Fill Stinger because I know my opponent is inclined to shield. The Scizor is very glassy. And now I'm full sending the Wild Charge because I can always outpace here. So my opponent would have to commit 2 shields. They're not willing to do that. They let it go. In comes a Poliwrath. I'm going to safe switch into my Tauros because yes, Togedemaru energy is good into Poliwrath, but they could be potentially double water in the back because they have a Steel Bug on the lead, and those counters would do a lot of damage after I've debuffed my defense with the Wild Charge. But in comes a Empoleon. I'm baiting here with an Aqua Jet, hoping I can get to a Trailblaze. If I do, can I get there one away? And no, we actually just barely get KO'd by the Steel Wing. That's okay. I can just come in with my Togedemaru, and I was right, but they're also weak to Poliwrath. So at this point, I can just let this go. Hydro Cannon does pick up the knockout. In comes the Poliwrath. I can shield up the Drill Peck if they make it here, and they do, which is fine. Because I can just shield this up. I will be able to make it to a charge move against their Poliwrath, but their Poliwrath is at 1 HP, so they get countered down, and we are able to take that win. Terrible lead in the next match. So what are we going to do here? We're going to safe switch into our Tauros. Tauros is the safe switch on this team because you do have a little bit better coverage with Aqua Jet and Trailblaze. That said, they do not throw, and they actually no-shield a Trailblaze, so potentially unaware about Tauros' moveset, which is huge, because now this is a boosted Aqua Jet, and they come in with a Fire Fang Mawile. So Fire Fang Mawile is going to be met with an Aqua Jet. They end up throwing on alignment too, so I'm definitely going to shield this right back. They full send an Iron Head. Here comes another Aqua Jet, and if they shield this one, I'm going to make it to a 3rd Aqua Jet against my opponent before they can get the Fire Fang farm down, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Aqua Breed Tauros putting in loads of work in this matchup, and it is a Lucario in the back, so we get 1 super effective double kick. They can only make it to 1 Thunder Punch here before they get fully countered down, so I will just respect this. It is the Thunder Punch, and now we can fully commit to the counter down. My opponent resigns at 1 HP, and we are able to take the win. Togedemaru into Araquanid. This is, of course, a great lead for Togedemaru. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to farm up to nearly back-to-back Wild Charges, because that is right before they're able to make it to either Water Pulse or a Bug Buzz. So I throw the Wild Charge. It doesn't quite KO because Araquanid is very bulky, but that's okay. I can shield this back. It is just the Bubble Beam bait, but in comes a Jellicent of all things, and I do not have a great answer to Jellicent in the back. So now I'm in an awkward situation where my defense is 2 times lowered, or at this point, fully lowered. And now I have to do two things. I have to grab both shields from my opponent, and then I have to safe switch into my Tauros so that I can land a Trailblaze, because Trailblaze is the only effective damage that I can put onto this Jellicent. They end up baiting with a Bubble Beam, which actually works out in their favor a little bit here because this Trailblaze won't do as much damage. However, I do still have my TOGEDEMARU in the back that can farm this down, so I feel pretty comfortable that I can just let this go. It is the Shadow Ball. I live on 1 HP. My opponent snipes with a Corviknight, and in comes the Poliwrath. Poliwrath will have to respect a Sky attack here, but my opponent is not throwing. So what I'm going to do here is instead go for a Dynamic Punch and then safe switch into my TOGEDEMARU, force them to throw their resisted energy, and then farm down their Corviknight and come out loaded with energy. Because if I can come out with a little bit of energy, I might be able to threaten this Jellicent, because the Jellicent was pretty low, but my opponent was not willing to play out that matchup, so they just resigned the match. Once again, another great lead. All these bug waters are absolutely everywhere. This time I'm baiting this one because they choose not to throw on CMP, so I have a feeling they're going to want to use this energy. They do overfarm a little bit. Now they're going for the Aqua Jet. This is neutral damage, so I will respect it. TOGEDEMARU is very glassy. Now I'm going to throw the Wild Charge on this CMP tie with the next Aqua Jet. Will this pick up the knockout, or will they commit both shields? It'll pick up the knockout. In comes a Fortress. Here comes another Wild Charge. This is 1x boosted, and this is the non-Shadow Fortress, but it still does massive damage. In comes the Tauros. The worst they can make it to a move here is either Rock Tomb or Sand Tomb, so I will just let this go. It is the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is resisted on Tauros, and I can immediately boost my attack back up, and with a Dugong in the back, they no longer stand a chance, so they just resign the match. Core Breaker on the lead in the next match. Thunderfang, Steelix. Where do we go here? We safe switch into our Tauros, and we're going to be instantly met with a Psychic Fangs. This is super effective damage, and it will allow them to completely Thunderfang me, farm me down, whether they decide to let this go or not. My opponent might already be reading that we are triple weak to this Pokemon, so they actually do commit the shield, which is pretty unfortunate. I will now wait out the switch clock, and then I'm going to come in with my Poliwrath. We will both be hitting each other for super effective damage. I do get 1 turn lag on Bring-In, which is unfortunate because it means I'm 1 counter's worth of energy and damage less than I should be. However, I can still outpace just barely and make it to a Dynamic Punch on the CMP tie. This should be enough to pick up the knockout, and what is in the back? It's a Ferrothorn. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to overfarm here, go for the Dynamic Punch if I can, and I do, which is huge because now I can grab that final shield. And now I have a TOGEDEMARU with 2 shields. I get 1 turn lag again when I bring it in, but that's okay because I can live 2 charge moves from the Ferrothorn. Do I want to? Not really, but if they have a Steelix and a Ferrothorn, they are already ABA weak to fire and fighting, so they must have a water in the back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play out this matchup, and I'm never going to go for a Wild Charge. I'm just going to continue to go for these Spell Stingers and respect every single Power Whip that comes my way. Why? Because if I have a double boosted or triple boosted Wild Charge into a water type that comes in, then this game is over. The only thing that would be bad is if they were on a Mudboy, but it is. We made the correct read. It is a Feraligatr in the back. I overfarm as much as I can, throwing right before they make it to the charge move. Wild Charge connects. They're in Fell Stinger range. This is already double boosted, so Fell Stinger from this range picks up the knockout on the Ferrothorn, and TOGEDEMARU able to sweep that matchup against a Steelix lead. Triple weak to that Pokemon. Absolutely crazy. Into the next match, we've got a Jellicent on the lead, so we're just going to play out this matchup. My opponent doesn't even farm up to the Shadow Ball, so I do just let this go. This actually does do quite a bit of damage, puts me in the yellow, but now I'm going to overfarm and throw once I'm at the back-to-back moves, and they are at a move here, so I'm going to have to instantly throw right away. They end up going for the extra Hex, potentially going for the full farm down. Once they shield that up, I'm going to safe switch into my Tauros because I just need to connect with a Trailblaze here. I will let this go. It is a Surf bait, so everyone baiting the Tauros here. Or maybe just don't know it's typing, who knows. But here comes a super effective Trailblaze. That connects, does huge damage, and it is Araquanid in the back. So I'm going to throw the Trailblaze on a potential CMP tie with the Bubble Beam. And if my opponent did throw it, then they are going to be stuck in this animation, and they did, which is huge. Bubble Beam obviously will not be enough to KO. It is resisted damage. Does that mean they can get the full farm down? Not quite. Looks like I'm able to make it to, once again, another Trailblaze, and this will do some very good damage to the Araquanid. I am going to let myself get KO'd so that I have Togedemaru in the back for a catch potentially later, but once again, everything is resisted here, and yes, I do have 2 shields, but this is not where I want to use them. Bug Buzz does connect, and in comes Scizor. Scizor is going to be met with a Dynamic Punch. I overfarmed as much as I can. Dynamic Punch picks up the knockout on the Scizor, and now it's just the 1 HP Jellicent in the back, so we are able to take that win. But yeah, that is Togedemaru Double Water Fighter. I mean, this team was absolutely cracked. Like, cracked out of my mind. Like, I don't know. You could see it in the Sims. I mean, Togedemaru has always been kind of a sim hero. It looks like it's better on PvP than it actually is in practice. But this is a meta where it actually has play. And with Tauros and Poliwrath in the back, they were fantastic. I also do think Dynamic Punch is a must on Poliwrath in this meta. I don't know why Scald and Icy Wind are the moveset to go for. I'll be honest, I didn't throw a single Ice Punch in one of these matchups. There's not really any targets like for Ice yet. Anyways, that Dynamic Punch wouldn't be neutral, so maybe I'm forgetting something, but like if we start seeing like the Water Flyers, that's kind of the only stance. But you're going to lose those matchups either way, and you have Togedemaru, which completely shuts those down. So we'll see, but yeah, that's going to be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.